Tito Ortiz, you sit here about 60 hours away from your final UFC appearance. I can't imagine the many things going through your head right now, but at its core, this is still a huge fight for you. Are you able to enjoy what is your final fight week while also keeping your eyes on the prize and the task at hand?
Yeah, I think I did the right work in Dicker. I did what I needed to do. I'm ready to fight. All that's on my mind right now is to win. Is to go in and perform the way I've never performed before. This is a fight that I wanted. It is a fight that I'm going to get. It is a fight that I have. The only thing in front of me right now is to get a win. I'm excited, I'm focused. I know what I need to do.
And you said this is the fight that you wanted. It was actually put together mutually by you and Forrest Griffin. What was it about this matchup that made you want to run it back again for what is your final UFC fight?
You know, I think it really comes down to the fights we had prior. They speak for themselves. It was probably the most exciting fights that we had. And Forrest shows great heart. And someone to excel me to that level, I want to fight guys like that. I want guys to fight, run away from me and so forth. Guys who fight, and Forrest is the guy who fights.
They were both close.
And they're both very, very close. And I don't know, on Saturday night we're going to prove to see who the best guy is.
Now you said the three biggest highlights of your career: winning the world title versus Wanderlei Silva, tapping out Ryan Bader as a 5-1 underdog, and beating Ken Shamrock in the first big mega fight of the modern era. What do you believe, as you sit here right now, is your single greatest UFC accomplishment?
God, I'd say becoming the world champion. You know, a young punk kid who was on the street, who was around gangs, drugs, parents who were drug addicts. Was to accept to be special in life, and I worked hard and I dedicated myself. I became a world champion only after a year and a half of competition. I believed in being the best I possibly could be, and I became that. And I think I look back on my career right now, and that's the thing that stands out more than anything, because I was able to accomplish something that I was never supposed to do. And it shows what hard work and dedication can accomplish. And that's why I try to be an inspiration in people's lives. And that's why I changed my name from the Bad Boy to the People's Champ, is to make a difference to every one of the humans on Earth, man. That you can make a difference as long as you keep your mind focused and work hard. And that's what I've done.
Now, Dana White said a while back you were a lock to go into the Hall of Fame at some point. How much more special is it, though, to be inducted on the day of your final fight and to get to walk to the octagon one final time as a UFC Hall of Famer?
I haven't really thought about it. I've just been training. I've just been wanting to fight and just go out and do what I usually do. I don't know, the Hall of Fame is something that I'm very thankful, for Dana and Lorenzo to induct me to this thing. It just shows to my fans that all my hard work does pay off, and I'm very thankful to it. And on Saturday, when I wake up that morning, I guess we're just going to have to tell how it comes out, the outcome of it. But the most important thing right now to me is get in a cage and fight at the capacity that I know I can fight at.
All right, Tito, we'll close with you here. 15-year career, so many memorable fights. It is down to its final 15 minutes. We know how badly you want to close this rivalry with a win. Can you put into words right now your level of motivation heading into the octagon Saturday night?
With great sacrifice comes great reward. I've sacrificed my body, I've sacrificed my mind, I sacrificed being away from my family for 9 weeks for this camp. For 15 years, I fought to get where I am today. Forrest is another fighter, bleeds like me, breaks like any other person. I'm going to do my job on Saturday night, and that's get a W.
This first one's for Tito. Tito, you've had 4 big rivals in UFC. You got Frank Shamrock, Chuck Liddell, Dana White, and Forrest Griffin. Where does Forrest rank amongst those group of rivals you've experienced in your Ultimate Fighting Championship career?
It has to be the top 2 because it's true. Number 1, of course, is Shamrock, because it was true. There was no lies. It was heartfelt towards each other. But it was a little different between Forrest. Me and Forrest, it was never really personal. It was, I never did any hatred towards him. Maybe the first fight I said a few things that were a little out of, I wouldn't say not out of character, but out of trying to get under his skin. But I always respected Forrest. He's done great for the sport. He's done great for himself, becoming a world champion. And my third and final fight, I asked Lorenzo and Dana if we could make this happen. We both got split decisions, but I think me and Forrest's rivalry has to be the top 2.
All right, one more. You're a very emotional fighter in and outside the octagon. On Saturday night, you're going to get introduced as UFC Hall of Famer Tito Ortiz. Is that going to affect you emotionally going into what is your last fight? It's the first time you fought with knowing that there's not another fight after this? Like just emotionally, how would you be able to handle that kind of situation?
Well, I think this kind of goes out when I almost won the middleweight world title against Frank Shamrock. I threw everything out. I have 15 minutes of me to go on 100% non-stop, 15 minutes. I ain't worried about no Hall of Fame. That's a given. That's guaranteed. It's in the bag. What's not guaranteed is getting my hand raised. But in my mind, I'm focused on positive reinforcing myself to prepare what's going to happen. And that is to get my hand raised.
Richard Hunter Carroll, the Dallas question for Tito. I wonder if you could sum up this second run here in the UFC. You know, going back to UFC 84, having to interview you in the hallway of the casino because you weren't being welcomed into the post-fight press conference. It seems hard to believe that you would ever be back in the UFC, let alone be on the eve of going into the Hall of Fame. Are you at peace with UFC management, with Dana White? And, you know, just if you can, sum up this second run that you've had in the UFC.
Well, I think it's just a reincarnation, you know. The hard work and everything has paid off. I've got the respect from the fans, from the company, and I've always been about UFC. I've seen a few interviews that Dana has done saying that I've always been about myself and so forth. It's kind of hard to say when I go and get back surgery to fight for the company, when I go get neck surgery to fight for the company, when I go get knee surgery to fight for the company. I've always been about the sport. I've always been about exposing the sport to its fullest potential. And its fullest potential being, as we're the greatest athletes alive. We're the modern day gladiators. As you can see, I mean, all this fans and news and press, they're here for us. Because we are the modern day gladiators. We step out and we perform. And on Saturday night when I win, I'll win the crowd. And that's how I win my freedom.
If you have to choose the 5 most important moments in your career, or fights, moments or fights, can you tell to us?
5 most important. Wow. Number 1 to win the world title, of course. Tied for first, beating Bader. Shamrock fight. Frank Shamrock, when I lost to him, I learned a lot from that. Beating Ken. I say beating Forrest the first time.
Tito, I have a 2-part question for you and one for Forrest. My name is Darren Smith with the Missouri State Post. Are you sure that this will be your last fight? Because you know a lot of athletes.
100%.
Okay, you know a lot of
Stop me right
athletes
there. No, a lot of athletes ain't Tito Ortiz.
Okay.
I'm done.
All right.
Yeah, I've done what I wanted to do. It's my career. I don't know. Maybe getting some commentating. You know, ESPN has offered me a job, but I would love to continue working with UFC. But I'm gonna take a month off. Go on vacation. Enjoy life a little bit. 15 years I've been sacrificing a lot. I've been away from my family a lot. And it's hard when you have children. You know, you watch the boys grow up and all of a sudden they're 10 years old, 3 years old. And it's like, wow, years gone by so fast. And I don't want to be the father that my father was when he wasn't there because of drugs. I want to be there. That's why it's time for me to say bye.
Tito, back here. Rodrigo del Campo, LaCiudadDeportiva.com from Mexico. When you came into the UFC, Latin kids were into boxing, not MMA. Now that you're leaving, you have Joseph Benavidez, you got Dominic Cruz, you got Cain Velasquez. That's part of your legacy. How do you feel?
I think I've done my job of, at least a part of my job of trying to educate fans of what the sport is truly about. That we can be successful. Latinos can be successful. I wasn't supposed to be where I am today. I had 3 choices. Dead, in prison, or where I am right now. And I think I make some great decisions and some great things have been given to me. You know, thanks to Dana, thanks to Lorenzo, thanks for the UFC. I wouldn't be the man I am today if it wasn't for these things.
Case Kiefer, Las Vegas Sun. A couple more questions for Tito. Tito, aside from just the fight night experience, what do you think you're going to miss most about all this, and what do you think you're going to miss the least?
What I'm going to miss the least will be automatic training. It's hard, man. People don't understand how tough training is. You've been doing it for 15 years. Yeah, the first 8 years is cool. 9 years is okay. 10 years, you're like, all right, this has been a decade. Damn. 14, you're like, all right. 15, you're like, okay, this is enough's enough. It's a full-time job. People think we get in the cage, we fight, and our day's over with, and we go and have family time and do no. What we get paid for is to train. we fight for free. Training and what you put into training is what you get out of it. I know the things I probably miss the most is walking out, you know, feeling the energy of the fans, the electricity in the air. There's nothing like it at all. I mean, I've been on tour with some of the biggest rock bands in the world, Limp Bizkit and Korn, and I could sit there and when Jonathan Davis came out with Korn at the Thunderdome in Detroit, when 80,000 people were there, and I was sitting, I mean, this is after I fought Frank Shamrock, and I sat on the side of the stage with the Coors Light can, and he came walking out, and with loudness, the crowd was so loud, and the can was vibrating, just by the echo of the voices. Have that same feeling when I walk out. There's nothing like it. It was like it was meant to happen. And I think that'll be one of the biggest things I'll miss is my fans in the crowd.
Speaking of training, a fight or two ago, I think you made a big deal of you stayed close to home. You said it helped you prepare. You already mentioned you were in Big Bear for 9 weeks this time. What went into that decision? Why did you decide to go back then?
I lose a little focus on at home. You know, got my kids, I got my clothing company, Punch for Athletics, got my gym, Punch for Training Center, my nutrition line, Punch for Nutrition. All that business stuff, I kind of had to put on the back burner. You know, I left it up to my assistants and my friends to take care of my business partners and go up to Big Bear and focus strictly on this fight. Eat, sleep, and train, that's all I did. My family came up on the weekends, as you got to see on Field TV. Rededicate myself to something that I love, and that's fighting.
And just lastly, you seem like you put your head down a little bit. Are you bothered by Forrest's retire from life comment?
No, not at all. That's his choice. He makes his own choices and his own decisions in life, and if I was known that seriously was about that, I would have bought him some retirement shoes.
Hi, Tito. I had a question regarding Chuck Liddell. You were supposed to fight him a third time, but you had to withdraw from that fight. Do you at all regret not being able to have that third fight?
If you had a chance of going paralyzed, would you take a fight?
Is there any fight that you would have wanted to take that you didn't actually get?
Nah, I fought every one of my fights. Injured or not injured, I fought him. When a doctor told me I have a chance of being paralyzed, it's not worth $1 million. No possible way. And I got a bad image painted on me on that Ultimate Fighter, but we all know the truth. I mean, I had neck surgery. I came back and I fought Matt Hamill, who I coached, who was a tough ass wrestler. And I took the fight on 6 months after neck surgery. I had C6, C7 fused in my neck. Athletes don't come back after that. That just shows how much I love the sport and how dedicated I am to my job and to the UFC.
Tito, what do you think of Forrest? Better, worse, or the same?
I don't like you. I ain't answering your question. I'm dating here to save you, so next question.
John. I just want to ask you a follow-up, maybe a better question. John, are you going to stick up?
Next question.
No follow-ups?
I guess if he's not going to answer, we got to move on, my man.
That is unfortunate. Good luck to you, Tito.
This question is for El Pato Loco. He's Rafa from Univision Deportes. You talk about putting everything aside, your business, your family, and we spent a day up in Big Bear right after your son was ill. How difficult was it, Tito? Obviously, how is he doing, and was the fight at risk of not happening after you got the news of your son?
Trying to make me cry, man? What the hell are you doing? Yeah, just kind of explain the question he had. My son had meningitis 3 weeks ago, and as a father, you don't understand how scary that is. I put my whole camp on. I literally got in my car and I told my training guys, I'll be back. They're like, what do you mean be back? I got a big fight. I'm like, I'll be back. I gotta take care of my family. I went to Arizona. Me and Jenna flew out there to see my son who had meningitis. Thank God my ex-wife Kristen caught it early enough. I'm very thankful for her for catching it early enough. It was viral. They were able to get rid of it in 3 days. Thank God he has Ortiz blood running through him, and he was able to bounce back super quick. And people don't understand how scary it is to lose a child until you have a child. People say, I love you. You don't know love until you have a kid. There's no love like it. And like I say, I put everything on hold. 4 days off, it was okay. I'm in great shape, so it wasn't a big deal. But I was just so thankful. I'm thankful for God, for the angels, and whoever was looking over my son and my family. I was destroyed, and it took me a day to kind of recover from it. But to see a smile on his face, he had a little bit of swollen face, but to see a smile on his face, saying, "Dad, I'm glad you're here," and I was thankful, very, very thankful that my wife caught it when she did. My ex-wife caught it when she did.
Tito, is there anyone in the MMA media particularly that you're going to miss?
Wow. I know all of them. Everybody in the media has always been really good to me. You know, I've always gone out of my way to help people make their careers on media. I've always been very media friendly. I've done interviews outside of UFC to help. And some people have showed their true colors, and some people are still with me. And I don't know, I'm not done yet. You know, I still be along the sport. You know, UFC has given so much for me to be here. I'm not turning my back on it. It's like all of a sudden, okay, Tito's done, I'm retired. Later, guys, thank you for the money. I appreciate it. Thanks for the career. No, I'm here. I'm still working. I'll still be working. You know, either it's with Fox and UFC, ESPN. I'll be doing something in the sport no matter what.
Connor Porto of MMA Weekly. This question is for Tito. Tito, you spent the majority of your career being the bad boy, the Huntington Beach bad boy. Now I see a very focused and at peace Tito Ortiz. Was this just very much a journey that brought you to this point? Was there one moment of true clarity that is making you what you are today?
You know, I think the bad boy was so negative, and negative will consume you. Before the Bader fight, I got sick of people talking smack. I got sick of people judging me in the company, outside the company, that would have an image on me that I really wasn't. And it hurt, because I'm a sensitive cat. I mean, I've gone through a lot, and to change to the People's Champ was in a positive manner, to show people that you're able to get through anything, any adversities in life. I've had back surgery, I've had neck surgery, I've had ACL replacement. I've had things done to me that athletes don't compete after. And I just want to show what hard work and dedication can achieve. And when I got out that bad boy image, I think it really came about to being in a positive limelight for my children. To show that their father is a true champion, and he's worked hard in the sport to help get it where it is today. I'm thankful for Lorenzo, for Tia, Frank Fertitta, Dana White for giving me the job I've had. In 2001, when they bought this company, they kind of put it on my shoulders. You know, I remember in 2003, I was sitting down with Frank Fertitta and Lorenzo, and they said, "We're sick of spending money." I said, "Just hold on to this thing. The sport's gonna be huge. Just hold on to it." And year after year after year, they got the Ultimate Fighter when Forrest was unseasoned. He was one of the guys who helped save the sport. He got the interest back there again, whereas like mainstream media got that attention. And we've been a snowball effect since then. And not only here in the United States, but worldwide. I mean, I think we're the #3 in the sport and entertainment world, behind soccer and behind basketball. We've taken over boxing, that wasn't a problem. We've taken over professional wrestling, that wasn't a problem. Taking over the NFL, our next goal now is to conquer soccer and conquer basketball. And I think Dana has that job in front of him to achieve those things to make it happen. And I think he can with those fighters that really have done it.
Well, thank you for your legacy, Tito. We appreciate it.
Thank you.